Hey guys, it's Swafford. Before we get started, just want a little sidebar here. It's about 9:33 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, June 11th. Brian Kriego and I recorded last night's show. Well, we recorded the show last night around the same time. But in the last 24 hours, Kriego, myself, Lemke, and Todd, all huge wrestling fans, have gotten some pretty heartbreaking news. Earlier today, we lost the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. He passed away at the age of 69. You're talking about one of the most influential people in the history of professional wrestling. One of the most iconic, best microphone guys in the world. Somebody that I looked up to because the man could just flat out talk. I wonder where I get that from. But we'd be extremely remiss if we didn't begin tonight's show with some sort of acknowledgement of the passing of Dusty Rhodes. This is not something that could wait till next week and it'd be a week long to digest. This is something that needed to at least be said before I posted the show on audibly.offensive.com. He meant a great deal to all four of us as an inspiration, as just someone to look up to, someone that we all grew up idolizing as kids. So thank you, Dusty Rhodes. Thank you, Virgil Runnels. Rest in peace. Here's this week's show, guys. We'll see you next Wednesday. Enjoy. Have a good week.
Hi, this is Dave Hansen of the Hansen Brothers from Flatshire. You listen to Audibly Offensive Radio. Do it with your earplugs on.
In 2008, a cracked-out sports show was sent to prison by a military court for a crime they didn't commit: the comedic murder of Oakland Raiders owner Al Davis. These men promptly escaped from a maximum security stockade to the Los Angeles underground. Today, still wanted by the government, they survive as soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the AO Team. Audibly Offensive Radio.
After a week break, because let's put it this way, affairs of this house matter more than affairs of this podcast, we are back for another wonderful, heart-stopping, elbow-dropping, penny-dropping episode of Audibly Offensive Radio. However you may be listening to us, whether it's on any of our affiliates, WWPN MediaNet, 101.9 Fox FM, MTR Online, or Bar Talk Sports, thank you so much for making this episode of Audibly Offensive Radio the best part of your week and all in your home for all the sports knowledge you're going to need. Again, my name, Patrick Swafford. You guys should know this. I've only been doing this damn show for 6 years. By the way, speaking of 6 years, you can also listen to every show that we've ever done in the 6-year history of Audibly Offensive Radio, brought to you by our good friends at ElectroDemon.com web hosting. You can listen to our show by checking us out on the iTunes Store. It's free. We don't charge. I probably should charge because, dear God, I'm losing money on you bastards. But that's why I love you. I give my shit away for free. That's the kind of love I have for the evil bastards that are listeners of Audibly.
And let's face it, your shit is priceless.
My shit's priceless. My shit's like better than any drug, and it won't kill you. It might get you killed if you listen to certain episodes around the wrong types of people. Certain episodes like, extremely hardcore Southern Baptists. There was that one episode me and Lundy did where we said every racial slur known to man just to prove a point about Riley Cooper. So if you listen to that show in public, yeah, you might catch a beat down from somebody. Doesn't matter.
That was one of your more legendary episodes.
Oh, very much so. That was the only episode, one of two episodes in history that I got hate mail from. I got hateful emails from that one and the one where we ripped Jameis Winston a new one after he stole the damn crab legs.
I hope those crab legs tasted good. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I know.
I hope it was worth it.
Well, the voice that you are hearing coming across the desk is none other than my co-host this week, my co-host for the last several weeks, and proud newest addition to the Audibly Offensive Radio family. Actually, no, Little Bit would be the newest addition, because Kriego's been doing the show since before my daughter was born. So, yeah, okay, there we go. The not so newest edition of Audibly Offensive Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the intellectual savior of the asshole masses, now officially on summer vacation, Professor Brian Grigo.
Yeah, man. Summer vacation feels good. And I'll tell you what, after a 2-week break where we finished up the school year successfully and we also successfully conquered the Richfield Community Garage Sale, I'll tell you what, it feels great to be back on the podcast and talk some sports with you guys.
But isn't there something else that you need to educate us with, good sir?
Good sir, I do bring you the, since I am the intellectual savior of the asshole masses, I give you your 50-cent word of the week.
50-cent word of the week.
Yes.
Into club?
Yeah. Bottle full of Bud. Yeah.
Yeah.
The word this week is atrophy, meaning to waste away, wither, or decline due to neglect or lack of activity. Atrophy.
Like this show over the course of the winter.
Well,
I'll be the first person to throw my own damn shit under the bus.
I just supply the words. That's all I do. Supply the words.
Bill Zeltman from MTR whooped my ass for this one. He was like, "Look, man, I need some new shit, and you're not supplying. What the hell?" So and love Bill Zeltman to death. I definitely would not want him driving from Philly or from Philly down over here to Ohio to whoop my ass.
So because I've seen made the call to the bullpen. And
I've seen pictures of him on Facebook. He's a pretty stout feller. No. Jake Leonard from WWP and MediaNet, I could probably whoop his ass. James Lacey from 101.9 Fox FM, I could probably whoop his ass, although he looks like a tall, lanky bastard. Scott Sikora from Bar Talk, there's no way in hell, because he's a New Yorker, and we all know New Yorkers are crazy as fuck.
Are you done putting yourself over?
Never. What kind of question is that, Brian?
It's a legitimate question because...
All right, time. You've known me for how long?
Going on 3 years now.
All right, and when have I ever stopped putting myself over?
You never have. I'm just asking the question.
Why the hell would you ask such a...
Is there an end in our future?
Yeah, my death.
Well...
And then my daughter will be there to put me over.
Well, that week I can get behind. But
my legacy will live on through the arrogant braggings of my daughter. When I'm dead and gone, I'm gonna become a real life version of Bill fucking Brasky. And I will live on through my daughter and Limke's son, through the stories of how just absolutely freaking awesome I am. And this, man.
I can't wait to read the coffee table book.
It's going to be a documentary film narrated by Morgan Freeman. Even though Morgan Freeman will probably be dead and gone, we'll dig his ass up and hook a car battery to his ass just for this one.
Ken Burns presents Swafford, narrated by me, Morgan Freeman.
Or we can at least get freaking Frank Caliendo doing Morgan Freeman. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out. Anyway, my brother, let's go ahead and get into the show, and we start this week off with probably the most newsworthy topic of the week, and it happened last night with the NBA Finals. I'm just going to go ahead and make one obligatory statement, and then I'll let you go, because let's go ahead and be honest, you have more of a dog in this hunt, than I do.
True.
Hashtag Let's Go Sonics. There is no way in the deepest, darkest pits of blackest hell, Cleveland should be winning this series. Go.
Well, talk about a buzzkill. I'm giddy.
I'm giving you my opinion. This is a short opinion, and then I'm letting you go. No way in deepest, darkest pits of blackest hell, Cleveland should be leading this series 2-1. Go.
I agree with you, but I'm positively giddy because Cleveland is doing what I thought Cleveland would have to do to have even a puncher's chance in this series, and they're bringing the fight to Golden State's doorstep, a fight that Golden State has not seen, because I will draw a parallel between Golden State and a point you made about the Atlanta Hawks last month on this very podcast, that Atlanta is not used to playing down and dirty basketball. They're not used to playing half-court basketball.
I believe I use the phrase, they're not getting used to punching in the mouth.
Right. They're not used to, having hand in your face every time you have a shot. They're not used to running into picks every single time that they try to run a play.
They're not used to an Australian guy running all over the court like his hair is on fire, diving on the floor for balls.
Exactly. And this is what has to happen for Cleveland to be able to, dare I say it, close this series out and win the championship. Is they have to play frenetic. They have to play off schedule. They have to play, dirty, because with all the horses that are down or injured or hobbling, that's the only chance Cleveland has to win the series. And so far, they're doing a pretty fine job of it. I just wish they could close out fourth quarters and not make them so, not let Golden State back into it after wasting a 20-point lead and a 15-point lead in consecutive games.
And that concerns me, Brian. Don't get me wrong. I had an argument with a coworker today, someone that you once called a coworker. I think you know who I'm referencing.
I believe I do.
And I had made that my original statement to her, and she got mad at me about that. I'm like, look, facts are facts. They shouldn't be winning this series, but they are. And her argument was with, you can't just look at the the numbers. You have to look at the heart. You have to look at the grit. I'm like, I'm not saying I'm not. I'm just saying that there's really no way they should be, but they are. It goes back to a cliche you used, puncher's chance. Everybody's got a puncher's chance, but generally, the reason it's called a puncher's chance is because when you have a puncher versus a technical boxer, law of averages, people, 99.9% of the time, the technical boxer is going to eat that guy alive. Right. But there's that 0.1. There's that puncher's chance, and that's what Cleveland's got. But here's the thing, and this is something that I truly feel in my heart of hearts. The worst thing that could have ever happened to Golden State was Kyrie Irving going down, because that means Matthew Dellavedova is starting, and Matthew Dellavedova is quickly becoming, and I refuse to call him Delly. I just refuse to, but mainly because his last name just sounds cool. Dellavedova. Yeah. It just sounds cool. It rolls off the tongue. But Matthew Dellavedova is becoming this generation's Bruce Bowen. Not necessarily that great of an offensive player, can get you 15, 19 if he absolutely has to. But by God, we're going to put you on the other team's best player and dare him to succeed.
And that's
Bruce
basically
Bowen would get stuck on Kobe Bryant anytime the Spurs played the Lakers. And guess what Kobe Bean Bryant did against Bruce Bowen? Two things: jack and squat.
Mm-hmm.
Same as the case with Steph Curry having to fight and get away, because Steph Curry cannot succeed unless he's in some sort of space. And Matthew Dellavedova is, for the vast majority of the time, not giving him that. However, this is the part that scares the hell out of me about this Cleveland Cavaliers team is the fourth quarter. Again, one of the reasons I say they shouldn't be winning this series is because, as you alluded to, they've given away a 15 and a 20-point lead, respectively, in the last two games. You don't win games by blowing it in the fourth quarter.
And then that's going to come back to bite them eventually, because as much as I really don't like Golden State, let's give them credit for the record they amassed in the regular season. Let's also give them credit for being in the situation before against the Houston Rockets and being able to find a way to navigate themselves out of that series and onto the next one.
Right.
I just wonder, if that situation presents itself again, how many more times can Cleveland dodge these bullets? I believe they have to win Game 4 tomorrow night, to give themselves that cushion of, okay, if we go to Game 5 and Golden State just goes lights out and lays a can of whoop ass on them, then they can come back in Game 6 and clinch it home. And my God, can you imagine this?
It's a 2-3-2 series, I thought.
Nope.
It's 2-2-1-1-1.
Yeah, they changed
I hate that shit so much.
I
hate that shit so much.
Game 4 is tomorrow night in Cleveland at 9. Game 5 is in Oakland on Sunday. And we checked on this because Heather and I were sitting there because we're going to see the Cubs and Indians on Wednesday night. And she goes, I hope the Game 6 is not on Wednesday. And we looked and it's on Tuesday. So downtown will be quiet one way or another when we go to see my Cubbies against Cleveland.
Maybe not. You could be one night removed from a championship.
Well, that's true. But even so, it won't be, gridlock and bedlam and all that kind of stuff.
It depends on the party.
Yeah. But I think
because keep this in mind. The parade will probably be the very next day if they win it at the house.
Right.
If they win it, if Cleveland were to win at home, the parade's probably going to be down, going right through downtown. The very next day.
We're not driving.
I know you guys do. You guys do the metro like you always do.
Yeah.
Get out at Tower City and
yeah,
fake out the pole like you usually do.
Yep. All 6 of them.
Yep. Inside joke on that one. We're not going to worry about telling you the story, people.
So I think that's what has to happen is they have to play 4 quarters for a change. Because if they had played 4 quarters in game 1, we'd be up 3-0. And
agreed.
If they had run a play instead of give the ball to LeBron at half court, have him get screened off, towards the bench by whoever was guarding him, and then Shumpert's heave skids off the rim as time expires, we'd be up 3-0 if they had run an actual play. But I have to give mad props to LeBron James because he has, just like in 2007, although with a better supporting cast this time, he's thrown this team on his back and he has just imposed his will basically. And it's been just enough to get us to this point where we're up 2-1.
Well, Krigo, keep in mind, you're talking about a guy who is infinitely a better player now than he was in 2007 when Cleveland got swept by the San Antonio Spurs. You're talking about a guy who not only has matured as a person, matured as a player, and he's also learned something very important that he did not learn in Cleveland, and that was how to win. It's how to win a championship. And he learned it from 2 very, very good people that know a thing or two about winning championships. Number one, Dwayne Wade, who before LeBron ever showed up in South Beach, Dwayne Wade had a ring. And he's also learned from some guy named Pat Riley, who I think knows a thing or two. Oh, great hairdo. Knows a thing or two about winning titles. #Showtime.
Yeah, he's a totally different man than he was before.
Right.
And I have a long thought that if anybody was going to win a championship in Cleveland and end this drought, it was going to be the Cavaliers with LeBron. Because the Indians are just running in quicksand and the Browns are just...
The Browns are the Browns.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be honest. I'm still very skeptical about Cleveland pulling this series off the way they have finished off the last 2 games. They've won their 2 games. Basically, they didn't win them. They just didn't lose them. That's the way I approach it. You can't win a championship by not losing games. You have to win a championship by winning games. Football teams do not win games. Football teams do not screw up in the 4th quarter and win football games. College football, you don't suck it up in the 4th quarter and win a conference title and win a national title. Ohio State didn't. Florida State didn't. Auburn, Bama. Those are your last 6 national champions right there. None of them, even the teams that they beat in national title games, didn't blow games in the 4th quarter.
There were no egregious mistakes that they had to overcome. And Cleveland has made some egregious mistakes because, I came downstairs. I watched the first part of the game, had to take care of some things, and came back downstairs. And I told my wife, hey, we're up 17. And not 5 seconds after I said, hey, we're up 17, she came down to watch with me. And that was when and that was when I think Klay Thompson did a 3 and somebody else did a 3, and then the lead was 9, just like that, and it was like you shouldn't have said anything.
Yep. So here we are. We stand 2-1. Game 4 is tomorrow night. Game 4 is Thursday night in Cleveland. How do you think it pans out?
my heart is telling me that Cleveland's going to win. My head is telling me that if Cleveland plays the same way they did in games 2 and 3, that Golden State will finally have an answer. Because I think they found something with David Lee.
Yes, they did.
Now, Cleveland could very well come up with an adjustment for him, too. I mean, David Blatt's been making adjustments the whole time now, and it's time to give him some credit for figuring everything out as he goes and, making all the right moves so far. But I told Heather after the game was over last night, I said, we have to win game 4. I don't want to go back to Oakland tied at 2, because then the momentum goes back to the Warriors, and I don't know if we can afford to get in a momentum swing game with them. We need to step on their throat now.
Completely agreed.
That's what has to happen.
And I completely agree with you as well on heart says Cleveland, head says Golden State. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I really don't have a dog in the hunt. My team was pirated. I keep lamenting about that. I'm going to keep lamenting about that until there is a basketball team wearing green and gold in Seattle, and they're called the Supersonics. I'm bitter about that. Fuck you. But I live in Akron. I live in Northeast Ohio, and I see so many of my friends that are diehard Cleveland fans that would give anything to be able to experience a championship. Now, Krigo and I can both say as fans we've experienced championships. Krigo is a Saints fan. As we all know, I'm an Auburn fan. I mean, hell, I've never once been impartial about that shit.
How long have you been an Auburn fan?
My entire damn life. But we both know that experience. We both know never knowing that feeling of winning a championship and then winning that championship and then just sitting there crying because
yes.
I've wanted to see this my entire life. I want to see it for this town. I want to see it for this area because this is the most, let's be honest, this is probably the most suffering sports city in America because they've come so
probably.
No, yeah. They've come
problem.
so close in the mid to late 80s with the Browns, and then 95 and 97 with the Indians, and LeBron. This is a city that I don't usually say a city needs a championship, but this city needs a championship, and I hope it happens. I'm not confident in the fact. I'm still not confident in the fact that they can win it. Let them go out Thursday night and step on the gas and actually win a freaking game instead of just barely hanging on by the skin of their ass. They go up 3-1 tomorrow night. Golden State's in trouble. Golden State's in trouble. If Golden State cannot. Two things. Number one, if they can't adjust to what Cleveland's doing on defense, they're in trouble. Number two, if Steph Curry cannot get rid of Matthew Dellavedova, they're really in trouble.
And all you got to do is look at Steph Curry's body language to know that Dellavedova is living rent-free right in his head.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he is eating his lunch. I mean, the son of a bitch was in Cleveland Clinic this morning, after being admitted last night for dehydration and exhaustion. Some bitches go into the hospital for this team. That's a bad man right there. Let's go ahead and move topics to your WWE portion of the show. We got about 45 minutes left in this bad boy, so we haven't talked WWE in quite a while. Money in the Bank is this Sunday. 2 weeks ago was Elimination Chamber. Yeah, I really love how they're doing pay-per-views 2 weeks in a row now. We have a pay-per-view, and then 2 weeks later we're going to have a WWE Network exclusive, and then 2 weeks later we're going to have another pay-per-view. I'm also pissed off that they didn't advertise Money in the Bank a month ahead of time, because Money in the Bank is usually the pay-per-view that Veronica and I host at our house, and we were going to have everybody over to watch it, but we were like, yeah, we got 2 weeks to prepare for this. Yeah, it ain't happening. Especially when you got a 10-week-old. Yeah,
True.
that wouldn't go. Yeah, we'd have to prepare for that one. So yeah, that's not going to happen. Thanks WWE, you jackass. So out of the last couple of weeks, let's just kind of, put a whole umbrella over this. Out of the last couple of weeks, has there been anything that's really stood out to you?
There has been one development, and that is the breath of fresh air that has been Kevin Owens.
Fight, Owens, fight.
I think and I can draw a parallel to what the program he's doing with Cena right now is a lot like, I forget which DVD it was that the WWE put out about The Rock a while ago, and The Rock was talking about, I don't even remember who he was in the rivalry with, but he said how, as a kid, I couldn't get behind Superman as a kid because I never saw Superman in trouble. I never saw Superman get beat. And that's kind of what it's become like with John Cena.
Kevin Owens went as far as to call him what the internet wrestling community has called him for years, Super Cena.
Yeah. It just becomes too predictable. I thought one of these matches with Rusev would have won.
But no, Rusev lost 3 straight, which completely wrecked Rusev's credibility. And now Lana's palling around with Dolph Ziggler. Yeah, that makes sense.
I thought, I'm trying to go back now several months to figure out, who else he's been wrestling, and it escapes me at this point. But
Stardust. Let's see. He's wrestled Stardust. He's wrestled Neville.
Well, I'm just talking about. I'm talking about before he won the U.S. Championship.
His programs he's worked.
The point I'm trying to make is, this is the reason why there's such animosity towards him in every arena you go to now. Usually, it used to be there were certain arenas where he was loved and there were certain arenas where he was hated, and the chants were like. But now it's like every arena he goes to, he could be in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and you're still going to hear the Cena sucks chants because he's winning every single match. And I don't know whether that's the office's idea of we have to keep him over, so that the only way he'll be over is if he wins, or if Cena has enough, creative input to his character now where he's like, I gotta win. But Kevin Owens coming through and actually putting Cena on the defensive and actually making Cena look mortal, has been refreshing.
Well, first off, let's go back to Elimination Chamber and look at that match. That was the best John Cena match I have ever seen in my life. John Cena's been wrestling for about 11 years. That's the best John Cena match I ever saw. It was amazing. Keep in mind, it was amazing because of Kevin Owens. I don't think John Cena has been the standard bearer in the WWE since WrestleMania 21. He has been the man. Maybe even a little bit before then, since the Royal Rumble leading into that year. Here's the thing. John Cena didn't carry that match. Because while John Cena's been wrestling for 10 years in the WWE, Kevin Owens has been at it for 15 years. Kevin Owens, in my opinion, for those of you that don't really like WWE, but you follow independent wrestling, which I know there are a few, Kevin Owens is Kevin Steen. Kevin Steen was best independent wrestler, one of the best independent wrestlers in the entire world. Ironically enough, the guys that were also on that list of being kind of your top 5 or so best independent wrestlers in the world are now all under contract with WWE, and one of them is the world heavyweight champion Seth Rollins, formerly known as Tyler Black, who was freaking phenomenal in Ring of Honor. But anyway, moving right along. At the end of the day, and I'll just kind of bottom line this, at the end of the day, the worst thing that could have ever happened to John Cena was NXT. Because there's so many fans that want wrestling. Granted, yeah, you still got your kids who there's a place for John Cena, and that's being the superhero to the kids. But John Cena, I think, is finally starting to realize that fans want more. And whether John Cena wants to be the good guy or not, John Cena is the bad guy.
Yeah.
John
And
Cena.
I think John Cena is also realizing that the sand in the hourglass is getting, kind of slight.
Yep.
And this could be a way for him to extend his career a little bit longer by working heel, not a traditional heel program where he just goes, heel and starts beating up people for no reason, but working those shades of gray that we're so famous for talking about. And nuance, a little bit of a nuance of, now I don't like it because this guy is trying to take my spot, or he's trying to, take my position.
Yeah. The one thing that really pissed me off about John Cena a couple weeks ago was actually the night right after Elimination Chamber when Kevin Owens defeated John Cena. Cleanly, I might add. Cleanly. He beat John Cena straight up. I loved it. Because it's about damn time somebody beat John Cena straight up, and the fact that it was a new guy was even more amazing. But Kevin Owens comes out and he talks about, my son is a John Cena fan. I'm not happy about that, and he bashes the idea of John Cena's looked at as a superhero and blah, 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 blah. And Kevin Owens' promo was very, very honest and very from the heart, it felt like. Out walks John Cena and starts running down Kevin Owens. Well, you're not a man. You're not a man. I'm a man. You're not a man. You're not a man because you're not happy about the fact that your son cheers for me. I'm like, my God, it's like, okay, I let you beat me last night, but now I'm going to come out here and I'm going to try and bury you.
Right.
I'm going to be honest, I fucking hate John Cena. What he does outside the ring, he's very commendable. He's an honorable human being. The way he carries himself in the ring, it's kind of annoying. That and the fact that I also think he's a talentless hack, but whatever. Anyway, moving right along.
Is there anything that you've found interesting about WWE the last couple of months? Outside of Owens?
Outside of what?
Outside of Owens.
Outside of Owens, to be honest, I love the fact that they've been pushing Neville as much as they have. I really enjoy that because Neville, when he was in NXT and was the NXT champion, I've always been a huge fan of him. I mean, come on. When I first discovered NXT and I saw Adrian Neville do his finishing move, which is called Red Arrow, which is a corkscrew shooting star press, I told Krigo about it. I'm like, Krigo, you gotta look on the network, watch NXT and see this move. Krigo.
And then I watched it and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, he's a short dude. He's ripped beyond all measure, and he's a high flyer. He's honestly not the best looking cat in the entire world either. He got big ears and a big nose. He's from Newcastle, England. Hard to understand because of his Geordie accent. But here's a telltale sign of Adrian Neville. And this is how you can tell a guy like Neville is gonna get over. It was right before NXT Fatal 4-Way several months ago, and it was a tag team match between Neville and Sami Zayn versus Tyson Kidd and Tyler Breeze, because all four of those guys were in the main event of the NXT Takeover. Excuse me. This tag team match happened live on Raw. They were using Raw to promote this match. Adrian Neville got the win on Tyler Breeze by hitting Red Arrow. Betty is in the kitchen getting some kind of snack. Walks out from the kitchen, back into the living room just in time to see Adrian Neville jump off the top rope, spin, flip, boom. Burst the words out of her mouth. Holy shit. Like, and that's how you know a guy's going to get over. He can suck in promos. He couldn't talk his way out of a box, but he can wrestle and he's got a finisher. Boom. Cut, print, kill the pig. Aside from that, The only other thing that I've really been interested in has actually been more of NXT stuff. I'm finding myself less and less caring about the main roster product and watching NXT a lot more. And I'm going to watch it as soon as we're done recording the show. The biggest thing that happened on NXT over the last several weeks was the debut of Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe came over from TNA. I mean, most of the NXT signings have been the big independent stars. This is a guy who was working for the competition and jumped ship to TNA. And if you've never seen Samoa Joe wrestle, Samoa Joe is amazing.
Samoa Joe is a man's man.
Yeah, big, hefty Samoan dude from Southern California that has a shitload of judo experience. I mean, he is a hell of a wrestler. Only knock I got on Samoa Joe is he's buddies with CM Punk. I hate CM Punk.
I know.
I can't stand him. I don't like quitters. But that's been it. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the Money in the Bank ladder match because it's always interesting. I kind of hope Neville wins it, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to end up being somebody like Barrett. But I still don't get Bad News Barrett or King Barrett or whatever the hell. I still don't get him.
Well, I'm afraid I've got some bad news for you.
I liked it better when he was doing that. It's just in his the in-ring product, I don't get. I don't get it from him. I just don't get it. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk a little soccer. And we'll do this albeit pretty briefly because there's really not a whole lot to talk about it. But obviously, over the last, this past weekend, the Women's World Cup began in Canada. U.S. got their first victory in the group of death. I believe it's Group D.
Yes.
It's either C or D. I think it's Group D. Anyway, with a 3-1 victory over Australia. Anything you're taking away from that?
I don't think people thought Australia was going to score. I thought because a lot of the articles I read was they got to tighten their defense up if they want to have a chance. But I didn't think Australia was going to be that much of a factor.
I did. Well, I didn't think they were going to be a factor. I thought they'd at least get one in net, which they did.
Yeah.
The first half, in my opinion, the U.S. looked kind of lackadaisical, sluggish, very sluggish. They got one goal early from Megan Rapinoe. Hope Solo gave up a goal, but Hope Solo's also, her head's in a different place right now because, authorities in her hometown are reinvestigating domestic violence charges against her.
Yeah, that's just a bad.
It's a bad look. I mean, at the same time, especially since domestic violence is such a hot button topic in this country right now. I mean, there's a lot of people already screaming, okay, this happened to Ray Rice, this happened to Ray McDonald, this happened to Greg, what's his name? Yeah, I keep wanting to say Greg Lewis. Greg Hardy. Why is this happening to Hope Solo? So it could end up being a very slippery slope, and depending on if anything happens while the World Cup's going on, could be interesting little turn of events. Yeah, interesting sidebar and turn of events for the U.S. women's national team.
Although I do have a confession to make about the Women's World Cup team.
Okay.
I have a crush on somebody.
I bet it's the same person I got a crush on.
Who do you have a crush on?
Alex Morgan.
No, that's not who I have a crush on.
Really?
No. I have a crush on somebody else.
Hope Solo.
No.
Really?
Really?
I figured you'd go for more of the cold-hearted bitch type chick.
No.
I don't know why I said that because your wife is the exact opposite of cold-hearted bitch.
Right, exactly. What are you insinuating, sir?
Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Sarcastic, yes. Cold-hearted, no.
I have a crush on Sydney LaRue.
That's not, yeah, okay.
And it's ironic that this
going with the Canadian, okay.
Yeah, it's ironic that this is happening in Canada because she likes sticking it to the Canadians every time she's playing.
Yeah.
She's on the cover of Sports Illustrated with pulling out the U.S. crest on her jersey and like pointing at it as if to say, "Yeah, Canada, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm playing for the Americans."
Yeah.
But also, I watched some clips of her on YouTube playing, and she goes after it. She's
She's very
fearless.
hard-nosed. Very hard-nosed. And she's not bad to look at either, but different story for a different time. Yeah, my crush on that team would probably have to be Alex Morgan.
I can understand that.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about any of that corruption crap going on, or you want to maybe table that till next week until we see if anything else happens other than the president resigned, which I thought was freaking hysterical.
I motion to table it.
Motion to table it. All right.
Rich people playing with money and breaking the rules.
All kinds of corruption, and yeah. Anyway, let's 20 minutes left to go in the show. We got baseball to talk about. So
speaking of corruption.
Oh yeah.
How about the National League All-Stars versus the Kansas City Royals in the All-Star game?
Oh my God. Yeah, check this out, guys. All right, if voting ended right now for Major League Baseball's All-Star game, which I believe it ends on July 1st. If voting ended right now, the American League would have 7 starters from the Kansas City Royals. You're defending American League.
Maybe corruption's the wrong word, but broken system is a better word.
Broken system is much better. It's not really corruption because the system's in place to be manipulated. And it's being manipulated because it's a fan vote, and Kansas City's fans, rightfully so, are stuffing the ballot. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. There's not. There's nothing wrong in what is going on with Kansas City and their fans voting their guys in. This is a city that is a great baseball town, probably one of the best 5 baseball towns in America. A franchise that was starving for a relevant team, and now they've got it, and they're happy to see this. I do not blame them at all for exploiting a broken system that they have placed in front of them. I do, however, have a problem with, number one, the system that's in place, and number 2, being able to have your fan base exploit this system and then have to look me as a baseball fan in the eye and tell me that the All-Star game will decide home field advantage for the World Series.
What's wrong with that?
Mr. Krigo, I got 3 words for you.
Wait, I was kidding.
Too late.
No, okay, what
Too late. Hashtag rant mode on. Damn right. You mean to tell me that the same system that's in place that put Ken Griffey Jr. as an all-star starter when he hadn't played a single game, and by the way, had a torn ACL, had Allen Iverson as a starting point guard for the Eastern Conference, and he didn't play a game that entire year. Yao Ming had already broken his back and was about 2 months away from retiring, but he was a starting center of the Western Conference one year. You mean to tell me that system gets to help determine whether or not, hypothetically, because it sure as hell ain't going to happen this year, but hypothetically, going to determine whether my Atlanta Braves are, have the home field advantage or not? Hypothetically, my Atlanta Braves, Brian Krigo's Chicago Cubs, everybody else in this damn area is Cleveland Indians, Pittsburgh Pirates, whoever, could win 100 games. Could win 117 games, breaking the New York Yankees record of most wins in a season. Could win 117 games. And because the other league wins the All-Star game because of a fan vote, you mean to tell me that they get home field advantage? I hate it. I've always hated it. And the simple fact now that you potentially, as of right now, have 7 starters from one damn team And that's still going to help determine home field advantage for the World Series, for the championship. Makes me want to puke. Because Bud Selig, in his infinite fucking wisdom, had a knee-jerk reaction to the simple fact that he fucked up and let an all-star game in his home park end in a tie. And he felt like he owed it to baseball to make the all-star game relevant again. Because there was such a sour taste in everybody's mouth because of it. You went the wrong direction. You want the right direction. I can't believe I'm actually going to give this guy props, but the Pro Bowl. Roger Goodell, boys and girls, got it right. And here's why. When the Pro Bowl 2-3 years ago was so bad because nobody would even play two-hand touch. It was 7-on-7 scrimmage, for God's sake. Roger Goodell then said, all right, next year we're going to evaluate the Pro Bowl. If you guys don't start playing and actually giving forth some sort of an effort in the Pro Bowl, we're going to cancel it. Because the fans are hating it. The ratings drop at halftime. Either play or we're not going to do it. No trips to Hawaii.
When I have everybody over for the Royal Rumble and I joke that, okay, is everybody ready to watch the Pro Bowl? I get like bowls of chips thrown at me.
We're about ready to whoop your ass.
Yeah. Just kidding. I'm going to put the Royal Rumble on now. Just kidding.
First off,
make sure you're paying attention.
First off, you got my volatile ass, and you got Isaac's big ass, and we both get out of our seats and take 2 steps towards you. I ain't never seen a dude run so fast in my life. But the point I'm trying to make is you can't have this both ways, Rob Manfred. Rob Manfred, you cannot be Bud Selig. You can't have this shit both ways, dude. You either A, make it all about the fans, or you B, make it all about the World Series. Either way, then you can say it counts. But you can't. I'm gonna be Stephen A. Smith here. God bless it. But you can't have it both ways. So, rant mode off.
And exhale.
Yeah. 1 second. I just got a text from the wife. The little one's starting to doze, so we're going to have to quickly put a bow on this one. Anything you want to say about Baseball All-Star Game before we get to our final topic, our weekly draft?
No, I'm satisfied with that. I think you rant moded it all the way.
All righty. Well, rant mode off. Anyway, in celebration of Mr. Krigo getting to do his own celebration, it's a celebration, bitches. As he now begins spring break.
Summer break.
Summer break. Wow, I'm way
Spring break
behind.
is a week.
Yes, summer break. How long is summer?
Nothing to celebrate.
How long is summer break in the state of Ohio? When do you go back to work?
Third week of August.
Third week of August. So he's got he's got about 2 months. Yeah. So over these
I'm gonna enjoy the crap out of it too.
Oh, I bet you are. I don't blame you. So over these next 2 months, I think it's safe to say that Professor Krigo over here is going to be enjoying a lot of things that you can only do during the summer, which gave me this great idea. So this week we're going to do our draft. Our 5 picks of the 5 things we most would want to do on our summer break. And I start with you, Mr. Krigo, your number 5 draft pick.
My number 5 draft pick is grilling and chilling.
Grilling and chilling.
Love pulling the grill out and grilling whatever tickles our fancy, whether it's hot dogs or chicken or ribs or whatever it is. Just getting that grill out.
Sadly, that's on my list, but it's higher. My number 5 Movies, and movies. I'm a huge summer blockbuster fan. Limke hates it because, Limke's a elitist asshole when it comes to movies and hates the fact that I like RoboCop because shit blows up, and he looks at it as a statement piece about the violence in Hollywood. Limke's a elitist asshole, by the way. By the way, he also studied theater at West Virginia University. That should tell you something about how much of an elitist asshole he is. He's a theater guy.
Surprisingly, there's a lot of movies that I want to see this summer.
Oh, yeah.
I can think of at least 4 off the top of my head.
I've already seen one. Jurassic World comes out, this weekend? Next weekend?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to see Jurassic World. I really want to see Jurassic World. But yeah, I love summer blockbusters, especially since Marvel's doing so much. Like next summer, you can bet your sweet ass I'm going to go see Captain America Civil War.
Of course.
You bet your ass I'm going to go see that one. But yeah, summer blockbusters are my number 5. What's your number 4, good sir?
My number 4 has to do with the number 4, actually. 4th of July festivities. I love watching fireworks. I love going to parades. I love getting together with family. And 4th of July, as I've told you before, is my favorite holiday.
Oh, nice.
I just love everything associated with the 4th of July. That's
my number 4.
One of my favorite things about summer.
Oh, yeah. My number 4 is travel. I like to go places, especially being the fact that my wife is a well-traveled young lady across this great country. She's been to a lot of places, and I haven't. And growing up in the South, not trying to put my mom down, but growing up in the South with someone who wasn't too adventurous, didn't really get to go to a whole lot of places. Growing up, the farthest north I had ever been was Nashville before I met Betty. Farthest west I'd ever been was New Orleans. And I could count the number of states that I've been to on one hand. I've been to twice as many in the last 5 years. But I love to travel. This year, we're not going to be able to, obviously, because we got a 10-week-old. And as much as I would love to go see Chicago or go see New York City, 2 places that I've never been that I want to go to, not going to happen this year. Maybe next year. But yeah, love to travel. I mean, if I didn't have the opportunity to travel, I wouldn't have been able to scratch another thing off my sports fan bucket list a couple of years ago, going to Cooperstown, New York, going to the Baseball Hall of Fame. So, I mean, been able to do a lot because I have a well-traveled wife who is a wizard with a budget. That's neither here nor there. Your number 3, good sir.
My number 3 is golfing.
Yes.
Yeah. See what I did there?
Yes.
I'm not that good at it, but it doesn't matter because a bad day golfing is better than a good day doing other stuff.
Right. Damn right. I got to pull a Limke here because I completely forgot to throw golf in there. So
you have a 6. Okay.
No, I have a 2-way tie for 3rd. I'm not pulling a Limke. Number my first one, golfing. Yeah, love playing golf. Same as Krigo. I'm terrible, but it's very fun to get out there with one of my best friends, this jackass across the desk from me, who is my playing partner, and our little course that we go to, we just yuck it up for a couple hours and we compete against each other because we're both pretty much same skill level, which means we both suck. Yeah, I mean, come on. Only at the golf course can you hear Brian Krigo tell me, no. You cannot have a shot like that and invoke the Almighty on the next hole. You're not allowed to do that.
Take your pick, but you can't have both.
And my other number 3, whooping some ass on the grill. Whooping some serious ass on the grill. Steaks, shrimp, hot dogs, Swafford style bratwurst. Yes, there is my way of doing bratwurst. I call it Swafford style.
Why would you call it anything else?
Damn right. I'm sure as hell not going to call it Krigo style. If I call it Krigo style, it would suck. Oh. But yeah, whooping some ass on the grill. Yes, sir. Your number 2.
My number 2 is Church League softball.
Church League softball.
Been playing it for on and off for about 9-10 years now, and it's it's had its ups and downs, but it's a lot of fun, especially now given the team that I'm on. I'm not in charge anymore, so that doesn't mean I have to deal with the drama. But I just like getting out there and, getting after it, trying to help my team out and the camaraderie and the fact that I have a sweet jersey. And, it's a lot of fun.
If you weren't playing in Cleveland, I'd probably join you, but I'm not driving that far.
That's true.
My number 2 isn't necessarily church softball league, but it's going to baseball games. Love baseball. And being the fact that 2 of my favorite parks in this country are either 30 minutes north of here or about 2 hours east of here, Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Yeah, I got some good venues to catch, and I can always...
That's where Heather and I will be next week, as a matter of fact.
I can always go to Progressive Field with my wife and one of my best friends and his wife, and we can sit out in the left field seats and dance to Apache by Sugar Hill Gang. Well, exactly. The 3 of us can dance to Apache by Sugar Hill Gang while your wife looks at us like we're freaking idiots.
And then joins in eventually.
Yes, when she realizes that she's not being one of the cool kids. And then of course, making sarcastic comments at a Braves and Pirates game with my other best friend, Mr. Chris Lemke, in Pittsburgh. Especially when it's Chipper Jones' final season. And yeah, Chipper. Yeah. But there's just something romantic about going to a baseball game. Love baseball. Love going to minor league games.
And keeping score.
Oh, yeah.
Bring the scorebook with you.
I have not done that in a while, but yeah.
I'll be doing that next week when the Cubbies are in town.
Yeah, I have not done that in a while.
I do it in pen. That's how confident I
am. Oh, wow. I used to do it when I was working for the Anniston Star, and I was covering a lot of high school baseball. Oh my God, that's how I rolled. My editor made so much fun of me because you're keeping notes on a scorebook. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're keeping notes on a scorebook. I'm like, you're scoring the game. I'm like, yeah, to do better than the official scores too.
Right.
I actually had somebody go, how did you score that double play? I'm like, 6-4-3. I'm like, oh, I missed that. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, don't deal with me, son.
You score that pickoff play 8-6-3-6-3-2-1-6-4.
I've done that before. I've actually had a pickle and completely scored that one before. I was just like, yep, I got that one. Sense of accomplishment. Your number 1 thing to do on summer break.
This has become a tradition for Heather and I the past several years. And last year, because we did it one year when we were dating, and we didn't get a golf cart when we did it, and we regretted it. But the last 3 years in a row, we have gone up to Put-in-Bay right around our anniversary and gotten a golf cart and just drove around the island.
Put-in-Bay is awesome.
And try to do some different things each time, because there's some things we like to do every time we go, some place we have to eat and things we have to do. But we try to get different things in every time we go. But there's something about just driving around the golf cart, the breeze in your face. It's a really romantic place for us to go. That's my favorite thing.
And it's fun too. By the way, next time you guys go, let me know. We may need you guys to stop at one of the wineries for us.
Or we may need to bring you along.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, that too. We may have to discuss that. Well, plenty of time to discuss that. My number 1, since Krigo was talking about the fact that he's doing his number 2 thing. Well, my number 2 thing on Wednesday, I'm doing my number 1 thing in 3 weeks. 3 weeks from this weekend after Father's Day, one of my dearest friends in the entire world, the sister I never had, my friend Jennifer, is flying up here from Jacksonville, Alabama on a Saturday. The very next day, we are getting in the car, we are driving 2 hours west, and we're going to ride roller coasters until our fucking faces fall off. Going to damn Cedar Point. I am a huge... amusement parks. When I was living back home, Six Flags Over Georgia. Loved riding the Mindbender, Great American Scream Machine, Georgia Cyclone. I love roller coasters. I'm a roller coaster junkie. Worst thing that could ever happen to me was when I was still talking to Veronica before I'd ever met her. I was like, how far away is Cedar Point from you? So it's about an hour and 45, 2 hours, depending on who's driving. By the way, if it's my wife driving, hour and a half. I kid you not. I was like, think if I were to come visit over spring break, we could go one day? Absolutely. I love going to Cedar Point. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. Six Flags Over Georgia ain't shit anymore, dude.
Reason number 74,366 why you love her.
Oh, yeah, very much so. But, yeah. Love amusement parks. Love roller coasters. Love the thrill of them. I love
amusement parks too, but I'm a land-based amusement park because because of my fear of heights, I'm not a roller coaster guy.
I'm terrified of heights as well, but I will tell you the same thing I told one Mr. Christopher Lemke. I will break you. Lemke was terrified of them as well, and I got him on one of the easier ones. And he was like, okay. And I told him what I do, because I have this little trick to get me up that first hill, because I can't stand the first hill. Once we start cresting the first hill, it's game on. I'm screaming like I'm frontman for a death metal band. It's great. It was like, this is what I do, and this is what I look for. And when this happens, then I pop up and I'm ready to go. So we got on one little smaller, easier steel coasters, and he was like, okay, this is okay. Let's ramp it up a little bit, just a little bit. Give me something a little bit bigger and scarier. I'm like, okay. So we went up just a little bit. We rode Iron Dragon, which was this little suspended coaster which rocked back and forth.
Yeah, I know all about that one.
It was
that's the one that I was so happy that I conquered.
It was tame for him. He was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I like how this swayed back and forth. Not too bad. You know what? Let's go for it. Give me your best shot. Next thing that bastard knew, he was on the front seat of fucking Millennium Force.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Oh, yeah.
I could barely stand on the ground watching Heather ride that one when we went.
Oh,
I was holding on to the fence.
I can break you. I can break you, Bubba. I broke myself, dude. I can do it.
Not happening. Sorry.
You go to Cedar Point with us. You have to give me one shot. You got to give me one shot. If I can do it, if I can break Chris Lemke, come on, Chris Lemke got off that ride, gave me one look in the eyes, and said, and I quote, "I just came." We're going up this hill, and he's just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm like, look down, you moron. Look at your feet. That's what I do, by the way. I look at my feet, and I look to the out, and I barely, with my peripheral vision, look out to the edge of the track. And because there's that metal grating that extends beyond the track as you get to the top of that first hill.
Right.
On every coaster. When you see it, then that's when you sit up. That's what I do. Because I can't stand to look outside and realize, oh my God, I'm 400 feet in the air. I can't do it. But I was like, look at your feet. I will tell you when it's time to sit up. Because I use the phrase, go time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We go to Cedar Point, it's going to be arcade, merry-go-round.
Oh, you're a puss.
I'm fine. You're not. Nope.
I'll break you.
Not happening.
I got him on front seat of Maverick when he couldn't see the track because the degree of drop is 100. It's like 100 degrees.
I just can't do it. I'm sorry. Nope.
That's something to scratch off the bucket list. Break. Let's write this down. Break. Brian Kriego.
Write it down. You can write it down in whatever font you want to write it down in. It's not happening.
Helvetica.
Helvetica.
Comic Sans MS. Anyway, that's going to happen.
Century Gothic.
Century Gothic, yes. Copper Plate Bowl.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of Audibly Offensive Radio. Before we get out of here, any final thoughts?
Just that this is Brian Krigo, intellectual savior of the asshole masses, reminding you that despite your highfalutin and overinflated opinion of yourself, I got news for you, pal. Caitlyn Jenner couldn't care less what you think about her.
Nicely done. We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.